Good day, this is Dimitri Lascaris coming to you from the outskirts of Kalamata, Greece for Reason to Resist on May 3rd, 2026. We've had an unusually chilly and rainy 3 days at the beginning of May here in Greece. It's gotten so bizarre, the weather, that reportedly 10 centimeters of snow fell in a national park area not too far from the capital, Athens. I can't imagine that the snow stuck around for too long, but seeing any for any period of time at this time of year in Greece is mighty unusual. And hey, who knows, maybe this has something to do with the destruction of those highly sophisticated radar installations in West Asia by Iran. I'm only half joking, by the way. I was actually asked on RT International yesterday whether there's any credibility to the claims that the Americans and possibly the Israelis as well were manipulating the weather over Iran with those sophisticated pieces of equipment that have been destroyed. And my answer to them was, well, I don't have the technical expertise to offer any kind of an opinion on that, but I do know that it's a matter of public record that the United States government was experimenting with weather manipulation for many years. And when I was in Iran, a country that has been water stressed for some time, there was really an amazing amount of rain, and it went on for days and days, and it was quite chilly. But hey, man, more likely than not, this is just part of natural weather fluctuations. In any case, it is truly a privilege to be able to walk in such beauty, even in these troubled times. And I come out here whenever I can in order to sort of relax my mind. And I wish upon everybody the opportunity to have these moments of relaxation surrounded by such beauty. The reason why, however, I have decided to issue this report this evening is not to share with you the weather conditions in Greece or talk about the enjoyment I derive from walking in the hills outside of Kalamata, but to talk about a potentially important development in the negotiations involving the Iran war. The development is that Iran has reportedly submitted a 14-point peace plan to the United States through Pakistani mediators. And before I get into the reported content of that proposal, just share with you this. That is the sunset over the Bay of Kalamata here this evening. It's quite a thing to behold. So the content of this proposal has been reported upon by Al Jazeera Arabic. And the substance of that report was helpfully translated and summarized by Dropsite News on X this evening. You can get the more granular detail by consulting Dropsite, or if you speak Arabic, going directly to the source of the report, Al Jazeera Arabic. In summary, this 14-point plan, which, by the way, has not been officially confirmed as the Iranian proposal by any Iranian government official as far as I can tell. I checked the X account of the foreign minister, Abbas Araghchi, just before I went for a walk. There was no comment there. There was no comment on the X account of the lead negotiator for Iran. And I also checked the state broadcaster, Press TV, and there too I found nothing. So it's entirely possible that this is fake information, that Al Jazeera Arabic is being misled. Also, as many of you will know, Al Jazeera is owned by the Qatari regime, and the Qatari regime has a dog in this fight. So what I'm about to tell you should be taken with a grain of salt, but I must say that I found the substance of this to be believable for what that's worth, based on everything that I've seen and heard from the Iranian government in the course of these negotiations. So the report is that the Iranians have proposed a 3-phase end to the war and resolution of all the issues associated therewith. In the first phase, there would be a complete cessation of hostilities throughout the region. So certainly that would include Lebanon, and I'm quite sure that the Iranians would intend that that would also include the occupied Palestinian territories. And there has at no point, of course, during any ceasefire been a complete cessation of hostilities by the Israelis towards the Lebanese and the Palestinians. Not even towards the Iranians, frankly. There too, you have this blockade of Iranian ports, which is an act of war being implemented during a ceasefire. Clearly a severe violation of that ceasefire. But in any case, they are calling, according to Al Jazeera Arabic, for a complete cessation of hostilities throughout the region, a withdrawal of U.S. forces from the maritime perimeter of Iran. It's not clear what that means, but I would guess that it means a withdrawal of U.S. forces from the bases, the U.S. military bases in the Persian Gulf, if not others as well. A gradual reopening of the Strait of Hormuz, and during the period of the gradual reopening, the proposal says the Iranians would demine the strait with technical assistance from the United States, and at the same time, in parallel, there would be a gradual lifting of the blockade on Iran. And there is a mention in the first phase of this proposal of discussion about a compensation framework. So undoubtedly that refers to the consistent demand that Iran has made that it receive reparations from the United States for the damage done in this criminal war of aggression. That, by the way, is a right that Iran has under international law because there was no lawful justification for this disastrous war. But of course, the Americans will bristle at any suggestion that they should pay even a dime to the Iranians as compensation for the crimes committed against the Iranian state and the Iranian people. So that, in a nutshell, is the first phase. In the second phase of this proposal, according to Al Jazeera Arabic, the issue of the nuclear enrichment would then be addressed. And according to the proposal, Iran would engage in no enrichment for a period of 15 years. Thereafter, the Iranians would be free to enrich up to the level of about 3.67%, which is more or less sufficient for civilian nuclear purposes, and that is the limit that Iran agreed to under the JCPOA, the Obama-era nuclear deal with which Iran was complying. And if it did, in fact, comply with that limit, it would be impossible, of course, for Iran to enrich to the level necessary for nuclear weapons. That level is well in excess of 90%. And then the proposal foresees that the enriched uranium that Iran currently holds would either be diluted down to a much lower level of enrichment. The most enriched uranium that Iran has is enriched to the level of 60% as far as we know. And the proposal also mentions the possibility of some or all of that enriched uranium being exported. It doesn't specify, at least not in the Al Jazeera report that that drop site described, to which countries it would be exported. Probably Russia would be on the table as a candidate for receiving at least some, if not all, of that enriched uranium. And then finally, and by the way, during the second phase, there would be a gradual lifting of sanctions on Iran and a gradual unfreezing of Iranian assets. And finally, the third phase, in a nutshell, is a broader discussion and series of negotiations leading to a new regional security framework. Presumably, those negotiations would include states other than the United States and Iran. This is not unlike what the Russians have demanded consistently. They don't want to simply bring a temporary or even a permanent end to the Ukraine war. Understandably, they want a new security architecture encompassing the whole of Europe, including Russia. Now, my understanding is that Donald Trump has reacted negatively to this. This should not be remotely surprising. Although Trump said in an X post or a Truth Social post just before the current ceasefire came into effect that he regarded Iran's 10-point plan as a workable basis of negotiation, he, both in action and in word, renounced that position, resigned from that position almost immediately after Iran agreed to the ceasefire, which was just another act of treachery on the Trump regime. And ever since then, the American side has been making maximalist demands. In effect, they've demanded an Iranian capitulation, a complete dismantling of its nuclear program, not just an end to enrichment, but a dismantling altogether of its civilian nuclear program, an end to support for allies in the region, Iran's allies in the region, basically throwing, Hezbollah and Ansar Allah and the Iraqi militia groups, and most significantly for purposes of the genocide, the Palestinian resistance groups, under the bus. That's what the United States has consistently demanded since Donald Trump's dishonest Truth Social post. In addition, they've demanded some kind of dismantling of Iran's ballistic missile program. And essentially, what would result from the demands of the United States, were Iran to accept them, is that Iran would both betray its allies and become completely defenseless, and abandon the right that it has under international law to civilian nuclear energy and enrichment of uranium for those purposes. So I have not seen at any point since this ceasefire began any official statement by any U.S. government official indicating that the United States is willing to make any concessions to Iran. Any. I've seen no statement that they're willing to pay any compensation to Iran in any amount. I've seen no statement from a U.S. official who went on the record that they're willing to tolerate Iran having the right to enrich uranium, even to a very low level sufficient for the maintenance of a civilian nuclear energy program. I've seen no acknowledgement by any U.S. official that they're prepared to have Iran retain ballistic missile capacity and a drone arsenal that would deter attacks on the country. None. I've seen no acknowledgement by any U.S. official that they would tolerate Iran's continued support in any form for any other members of the axis of resistance. So the position in a nutshell of the U.S. government ever since that infamous Truth Social post, which induced Iran to enter into a ceasefire, has been maximalist and amounts to a demand of capitulation. So the sides remain very far apart. It's not remotely surprising that Donald Trump apparently came out today and said, this plan is unacceptable to him. I see no indication whatsoever that there's common ground between the two sides at this stage, and this is almost certainly going to be rejected and followed by another demand for capitulation from the Trump regime. And in concert with all of this, there is a massive military buildup continuing to take place by the United States and Israel in the region. So I think the writing is on the wall here. And again, I hope very much that I'm wrong, but it seems inevitable that we are going to be into another hot war between Iran and the United States and Israel on the other side very, very soon, perhaps within the next few days. Now, before I sign off, I want to say a few words about this character, Steve Witkoff. He continues to be treated by the corporate media as a legitimate representative and negotiator for the United States government, this real estate shyster. Steve Witkoff has been assigned to 3 massively important tasks in the course of his time as the so-called peace envoy and Middle East envoy and special envoy to Russia of the Donald. He has been assigned the task of trying to negotiate, we are told, an end to the Ukraine war. He was assigned the task to end the war on the Palestinian people by Israel, and he was assigned the task of bringing an end to or avoiding war between the United States and Iran. And in all 3 respects, he has failed miserably. The war in Ukraine is not only ongoing, it's escalating. Ukrainian attacks with the assistance, undoubtedly, of Western militaries are now taking place deeper and deeper into Russian territory. There's no sign that Zelensky is willing to make any concessions to the Russians either in order to bring an end to this war. He, by the way, is now ruling by martial law more than about 2 years after his term expired, and has zero democratic legitimacy, assuming he ever did have any. So that whole escapade has turned out to be a farce. The negotiations about the Ukraine war. And in fact, they're not even pretending, the Americans at this stage, to be negotiating with the Russians after we were told ad nauseum that Trump could bring that to an end within 24 hours. Even the pretense of negotiating to bring an end to the war has crashed and burned. So then, of course, there's the Gaza peace plan and the peace board. And as we all know, those of us who care about Palestinian lives at all, there has been no cessation of the genocide on the Palestinian people. Every single day there are reports coming out about civilians being murdered by the Israelis, about the Israelis sneakily taking more and more of the Gaza Strip away from the besieged Palestinian population. And for all intents and purposes, all that has been accomplished by this so-called peace plan and peace board is that they have deceived the world, much of the world, into paying less attention to what is being done to the Palestinian people and putting less pressure on governments around the world, particularly in the West, to hold the Israelis accountable and bring an end to the slaughter of the Palestinians. And then, of course, there's the Iran war. Not only did Witkoff fail to prevent a war against Iran, he failed to prevent two wars. And on each occasion, he pretended to be negotiating in good faith with the Iranians while the American military was preparing to attack Iran. And so wherever this man has gone, there has been catastrophe from the perspective of peace and conflict avoidance. Complete and utter catastrophe. He is probably from, in the annals of peace envoys, the greatest failure in all of human history. And I think it's absolutely clear at this point that Steve Witkoff's real mandate is not to make deals. His real mandate is to break deals. His objective, the one that has been assigned to him, is to prevent a negotiated resolution of any of these conflicts, because the United States is not interested in compromise, mutually beneficial compromise. It is interested only in one thing, and that is domination. And if it can't achieve domination over Russia, over the Palestinians, over Iran by means of negotiation, which is not going to happen ever, they are not going to negotiate away their own independence, their own freedom, and their own dignity. But it is quite clear that the objective of this man and the assignment that he has been given is to ensure that the United States is well positioned to achieve its goals by means of violence. And that is precisely what is attempted to do in the case of all of three of these conflicts, which, by the way, are, obviously intimately related. I think that's now abundantly clear to people who have been paying attention. These are not separate conflicts with unrelated causes, although there are aspects to each of them that are unique. The overarching theme, the thing that binds them all, is the refusal of the United States to abandon its project of global hegemony. So Steve Witkoff should be dismissed as a liar and a fool by the corporate media. Whenever he opens his mouth and blathers on about peace, he should be met with uproarious laughter by the press gallery. But no, they continue to take him seriously and to pretend that he actually is involved in these discussions for the purpose of the avoidance of conflict. So my final word about this guy is that he's a war criminal. He has the blood of innocent Iranians, Palestinians, and yes, Russians on his hands, because he has impeded an end to these wars and these acts of criminality by the United States and their proxies and allies. And I hope one day that he will be hauled before the International Criminal Court or some court of competent jurisdiction and tried for crimes against humanity and spend the rest of his putrid life rotting in a jail cell at The Hague or some other appropriate venue. The last thing I want to talk about before parting company with you this evening is the plight of two organizers, two important members, well, they're all important people, participants in the Global Smud Flotilla the Israelis, after engaging in another act of piracy off the waters of Crete with the coordination of the Greek government, have kidnapped two individuals from the Global Smud Flotilla. One of them is a colleague of mine whom I've interviewed on Reason to Resist, and I first met him in person in Istanbul a couple of years ago when we assembled for a flotilla to Gaza. That mission had to be aborted because there were various obstacles thrown in the way by foreign governments at the last minute. But I got to know Tiago de Avila at that point in time, and he's an extraordinary human being. I just saw a picture of him with his hands handcuffed behind his back in the dock in an Israeli kangaroo court. And he has been incarcerated with another gentleman. I haven't met him before. His name is Saif Abukishek, and he is apparently a Swedish and Spanish national. And there are reports that they have been beaten, they have been blindfolded, they have been kept in isolation. Effectively, they are being incarcerated in conditions amounting to torture. Please do speak to your elected representatives, your government officials. Help to put pressure on the governments of the West to force this criminal Israeli regime to free these two extraordinary individuals who risked their lives to draw attention to the plight of the Palestinian people in the Gaza Strip. And the last thing I'll say before signing off is it does appear that we are heading into a global economic crisis. We will certainly at this stage be experiencing a recession in many countries around the world. And if this fiasco that was inflicted upon humanity by Trump and Netanyahu continues for months, as it may well, then we will almost certainly be in a global economic depression. So prepare yourselves, my friends. This is not just an idle prediction. You should be taking steps now, if you haven't already, to weather the storm that is coming, stocking up on provisions, putting money aside, reducing your use of energy if that's an option that's available to you. We are heading into some serious difficulties from an economic perspective, and at this stage, I just don't see how this can be avoided given the quality or lack thereof of the leadership in the West. For now, I'm signing off, and hopefully I'll have better news for you in my next report. Who knows? Maybe people in the White House will suddenly grow a conscience and decide that they're going to bring an end to this catastrophe after all. This is Dimitri Lascaris signing off on May 3rd, 2026 from Kalamata, Greece.